When stillness feels like a threat. You ever notice how quiet doesn't always feel peaceful? Sometimes, it feels like being left alone in a room with everything you've tried to outrun. You sit, you try to breathe, but it doesn't land. Your chest rises, but nothing settles. It's like your body doesn't trust stillness. Like it's waiting for something to go wrong, even in a room with soft light and no sound. And maybe you've started wondering, why can't I just sit still like everyone else? Why does something so small feel so unbearable? You tell yourself it's simple. Just 10 minutes. Just sit. Just breathe. But even the act of trying makes your chest feel tight. Not like panic. More like your body trying to hide something from you. Like there's something under the surface that still thinks quiet is dangerous. No one ever said silence could hurt like this. No one tells you that stillness, for some people, doesn't feel like rest. It feels like being left behind. Again. And maybe you've never said this out loud. But when the room gets quiet, your body doesn't soften. It listens. For something. For anything. For impact. You're not sure when it started. But you remember that feeling. Waiting to see if someone would yell. Or go silent in that specific way that meant you'd done something wrong. Even now, when you sit in stillness, your breath doesn't come in evenly. It catches, like it's bracing. And you try to be patient, but everything in you starts speeding up. Thoughts don't come gently. They press in, loud, fast, layered. Not even words sometimes. Just static. And underneath it, a question that never quite forms. Am I safe here? You probably know this feeling too, even if you've never said it. That moment where your eyes are closed, but your whole body is scanning the room. Nothing's wrong. But your heart's already 3 steps ahead, just in case something goes wrong. People say you're sensitive, but they don't see how many times you've had to notice the mood before it shifts. How early you learn to read between breaths, between footsteps. So of course silence doesn't feel silent. Of course you can't just relax. But here's what most people miss. You don't resist stillness because you're dramatic. You resist it because you remember. Even if you don't remember why. You've taught yourself to be calm. Smiled in meetings. Nodded in conversations where your mind was screaming. You've done all the breathing exercises. You've downloaded the apps. You've lit the candles. And still, you can't get your body to believe you're okay. It's exhausting. Because you're trying so hard to heal. And no one sees how much effort it takes just to sit still. You keep thinking maybe this time will be different. Maybe today your mind will finally shut up. Maybe your hands won't twitch. Maybe the tension in your back will leave you alone for 5 minutes. But the moment you close your eyes, something flinches. It's subtle, but it's there, like your nervous system got the wrong memo. And still thinks you're in a place you have to escape from. You breathe in, but it feels borrowed. You exhale, and wonder if you've done it wrong. Even your peace has performance anxiety now. And the worst part is, you blame yourself for this. You think you're just not trying hard enough. That if you were really doing the inner work, you'd be able to sit for 10 damn minutes without needing to move. But the truth is, your body is doing exactly what it was trained to do. It's watching, listening, waiting, not because you're broken, but because that's how you survived. You've created a life where nothing's chasing you. And still, you feel like you're one breath away from disappearing. You've numbed in 1,000 small ways. Not with anything obvious. Just distraction, scrolling, fixing things for other people. Saying, I'm fine, before anyone even asks. Your coping doesn't look dramatic. It looks responsible. It looks like making sure everyone else is okay. So you don't have to notice you're not. Even the way you try to meditate has a kind of apology in it. Like you're sorry for not being able to do something so simple. Like your body should be quieter. More obedient. More healed. And maybe no one ever told you this. But some people carry tension so deep. It doesn't show up in their posture. It shows up in their silence. You move through the world like you're fine. You keep the rhythm of a life that works. But when the noise finally stops, you're met with something you can't name. A kind of ache that doesn't ask to be fixed. Just noticed. You're not asking to feel better. Just to not feel so far from yourself. And somehow, Even that feels like too much. You're not asking to feel better. Just to not feel so far from yourself. And somehow, even that feels like too much. But that wasn't the end of it. Because now, even the quiet moments feel like they're watching you. Holding out their hand, asking you to sit with them. And you can't. You try, but your breath skips. Your fingers twitch. And the thoughts, they don't scream. They hum, low, constant, familiar. You wake up already bracing. Not because anything has happened, but because that's what mornings are. A quiet scan of your own body. Wondering where the tension will land today. Some days it's your shoulders. Other days, your throat. But it's always somewhere. You stretch. You sit. You sip something warm. And you feel nothing. Except maybe the outline of something you're not ready to feel. So you move faster. Not in panic. Just enough to not notice. And this is where it quietly got worse. Because stillness stopped being a goal. It became a test. A measure of how healed you should be by now. How many hours you've journaled. How many books you've underlined. How many nights you've lit candles and whispered mantras you don't believe. And every time your mind wouldn't cooperate. You didn't just feel frustrated. You felt defective. Not meditating right. Not resting right. Not breathing right. You didn't fail at healing. But you started to believe you were the reason it wasn't working. Even silence became performance. You'd sit, posture soft, face calm, but your body was a live wire. Every second was a countdown. Every breath was a negotiation. And the worst part? No one noticed. Because on the outside, you looked peaceful. You looked like someone who gets it. Who does the work. Who's on a journey. But inside, you were gripping every second. Faking stillness. While everything in you screamed, "Please, let me move." This is what no one ever asked her. The girl who tries to meditate. Who downloads the app. Who sets the timer. Who wants so badly to find her center. But instead finds a minefield. Because she's not looking for enlightenment. She's looking for somewhere that doesn't hurt. And in that silence, something broke inside. Not loudly, not all at once, but like a thread coming undone. Tiny, constant, invisible. She started to think the problem was her. That if she just worked harder, slept better, drank more water, stretched longer, maybe her nervous system would finally get the message. Maybe it would stop flinching at the quiet. Stop prepping for impact that never comes. Stop making her feel like her own body is the battlefield. You probably feel this too. The moment your head hits the pillow, and your mind starts rehearsing conversations. Or remembering every time you didn't speak up. Or checking, again, if you locked the door. If you answered that message. If you seemed off today. If you were too much. You breathe, but only just enough not to feel dizzy. Because too much breath makes you feel seen. And being seen, truly seen, is terrifying when you're used to disappearing just in time. So you stay half visible. In rooms, in friendships, in your own body. And stillness? Stillness demands full presence. And that's something you've never been taught how to hold. You shrink just enough to still fit in the room. But not enough to feel safe in it. You meditate the way you've lived. Carefully, quietly, ready to move the second it feels like too much. You don't relax. You scan. You don't rest. You brace. And every time someone says, "Just breathe," you want to scream, "I am." This is what breathing looks like when your body still thinks you're in danger. But you don't scream. You nod. You say, "Yeah, I'll try again tomorrow." And when no one's watching, you cry without making a sound. Because even your grief has learned how to behave. This isn't a tantrum. It's a system doing what it was trained to do. Stay small. Stay ready. Stay out of the way. And you've done it so well that sometimes you forget what it felt like to be loud. To take up space. To let your chest rise fully. Like it used to before you were taught it was dangerous. You didn't speak. Not because you had nothing to say. But because no one ever stayed long enough to hear it. So now, when it's just you and the silence, it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like every version of you that had to hold it together. Finally asking, "Can I fall apart now?" And maybe you still don't have an answer. Maybe that question just sits there. Inside you. Like a breath you forgot to finish. Maybe stillness never felt safe. Because no one ever told you it was allowed to feel like this. Uneven, loud, almost unbearable. Maybe your resistance wasn't a wall. It was your body, remembering. You didn't fail at meditating. You just entered the silence with no one beside you. And tried to stay. Same posture, same quiet room. But maybe this time, your breath didn't vanish. It just stayed with you. And maybe that's enough. Not to feel better, but to feel like you're not hiding anymore. What if you didn't have to silence your mind? To be allowed to rest? What if stillness could hold your tension? Without asking you to change? You don't have to try again tonight. You don't have to prove anything to the quiet. Just let yourself be here. Exactly as you are. Still wired. Still watching. But not invisible. Not this time.